Good morning, everyone. My name is Kelli Butcher, and I'm a nurse with the Arkansas Department of Health. I want to do some education with you this morning regarding, as you can see on the screen there, the new epidemic. And no, I'm not talking about the coronavirus. I'm talking about the epidemic of vaping among our young people. And I want you to have accurate and good information regarding vaping because this is a choice that you're going to make for yourself. And if you don't have good information and you believe these products to be safe, you might make the decision that, yes, I'm going to try this and use these things because, hey, it's okay. Um, Back when I was in high school, and it was a long time ago, but it wasn't that long ago. And I went to a high school in Arkansas, so I didn't go to some strange high school somewhere. I went to a public high school in Arkansas. We were allowed to smoke at school. We had to go to specific spots in order to do that. We called it the smoking hole at my school. But as long as we were in a smoking hole, we could use tobacco products at school because we, at that point in time, believed that cigarettes were safe to use. I don't think there's anybody that I'm talking to right now that believes cigarettes are a safe choice from a health perspective. And I want you to understand that there's information out in the world today that leads people to believing that these vaping products are safe or safer than cigarettes. Because again, if you believe something to be safe or safer, you're more likely to try it. I want you to think about what you hear today. I want you to come up with a reason for yourself for saying no to these products. If you can decide today that you're not going to try these products, you're much more likely to stick with that decision once you are faced with the decision. It might be that you become curious about what this is like and why everybody wants to try it. You might be in a situation where your peers are pressuring you to try this product. And if you've decided today that the answer is going to be no, it's easier to stick to that decision. So I'm going to minimize myself up here in the corner so I'm not distracting as we go through this presentation. But you're going to see some words scroll across the screen there. Things like education, friends, food, college, cars, money, and it says Juul is more important than these things. Now, I know that on the surface that's absurd, and you all realize that, but what I want you to understand, and the reason that this slide is in this presentation is once you become addicted to these products, vaping does feel more important than all of these things. When you try these products for the first time, is it something that you want to do or is it something that you need to do? And I think you all, again, know the answer to that question. The answer, of course, is that you want to try this. You're curious, maybe it's peer pressure, but you want to try this. And so you try it. Once you become addicted to these products, it now feels like something you need to do. And you're probably going to have to give up something else from a money perspective in order to buy the product. Most of us in life don't have so much money that we get to buy everything that we want. So we make choices. And we'll talk more about the money aspects of this as we get further into this presentation. And again, of course, you all know that this is not a correct statement. It's wrong, but it does feel like they are more important once you have become addicted. We're going to talk about several different topics today as we go through this presentation. You can see them listed on the screen there for you. And I hope that all of you learned something from listening to this presentation today. First of all, this slide shows you a little bit of almost the history of e-cigarettes. There are lots of different types of them, and this is not a comprehensive picture on the screen that you see here. These things come in devices that are not pictured on the screen. But what I want you to understand is that these things have evolved over time. People in the public have become educated that tobacco smoking is bad for you. And the companies that sell cigarettes, their profits have been decreasing over the years because people are choosing not to smoke. And amazingly enough, these same companies that tried to sell me cigarettes when I was in high school are now trying to sell young people e-cigarettes. It's the same people. They originally, when these devices came out, they looked like the device here where it says disposable devices. They looked like a cigarette. It was a single-use device. You used it, you threw it away, and you got another one. They evolved over time to look like the things along the outer edges, the pipe, the cigar, the tank, and the large and the medium tank devices. These were different in that they were reusable. You would buy liquid to refill them and you would recharge them. And some people are still using these devices today, but the majority of the vaping market is using what we call pod-based systems that are in the center of the screen here. That's where Juul falls. That's where some of the other brands like Blue or Puff Bar that you might be familiar with, those are pod-based systems. But what I want you all to realize about all of these things that you see on your screen is they all work in basically the same way. There's a battery that heats a coil heats a liquid becomes a vapor, and you inhale it into your lungs. I also want you to know that it's not a vapor you're inhaling, it's actually an aerosol. We'll talk more about that in a minute. But again, these things basically work the same way regardless of what they look like on the outside. Now, the chemistry in the liquids are different with pod-based systems, and we'll talk more about that in a minute. So what is Juul? For a lot of people, Juul is special. They think it is special anyway. I want you to know that Juul is nothing more than a brand of an e-cigarette that has a really good marketing department and convinced people that theirs was the best. This is the anatomy of a Juul, but you could also think about this again as all pod-based systems. They're very simple devices. They're very stripped down. They look like a USB flash drive if you didn't know what this thing was. And that is because a tech type of a device is more attractive to a young person than something that looks like a cigarette or something that looks like a smoking device. And again, these companies want you to be attracted to their product because they want your money. They want you to be their new customer. So let's look at the pod itself. A pod from Juul contains 42 milligrams of nicotine. That's the equivalent of a pack of cigarettes. And you can't buy a Juul pod without nicotine. Sometimes young people want to say, well, I vape, but I'm using a kind that has no nicotine in it. If you're Juuling, you're taking in nicotine. They don't manufacture them any other way. I also want you to, you see some words over there on the right side of your screen. This is where I want you to understand the difference between the refillable types and the pod-based systems. Pod-based systems use a different form of nicotine than the refillable types of vaping systems. Pod-based systems add benzoic acid to their liquid to get the nicotine delivered to a body in almost an identical way that a cigarette does. So you see the word acid up here at the top? That is benzoic acid added to the liquid so that the nicotine is delivered the way it has been found to very closely mimic a cigarette. Benzoic acid is one example of something that you're inhaling into your body that we have no idea what it's going to do to human bodies over time when people put this into their body. It's you signing up for your body to be used by researchers to help them figure it out. Nicotine is present. Heavy metals are present. We're going to talk about those on a coming up slide. Now, we know some things about e-cigarettes, but we don't know everything about e-cigarettes. Some of the things that we do know that e-cigarettes contain ultrafine particles. We know e-cigarettes contain a chemical called diacetyl. We know e-cigarettes contain heavy metals. Those three have their own slide coming up. I'll talk about those in more detail in a minute. But I want to talk about now for a minute is the volatile organic compounds that you see. We know that using tobacco products causes you to be at an increased risk of developing cancer. We know that some of the very same compounds that have been proven to cause cancer with traditional tobacco products are present in e-cigarettes. I can't tell you today that e-cigarettes cause cancer. Does that mean that they don't? It does not. But unfortunately, that's the way a lot of people interpret this. They think to themselves, I don't hear that e-cigarettes cause cancer, so they must be safe. I don't hear that e-cigarettes cause cancer, so they must not cause cancer. What I want you all to realize is that you don't hear e-cigarettes cause cancer, not because it's not going to happen, but because the research has not been done yet to back that up and to prove it. And I want you to ask yourself also the question, if some of the same volatile organic compounds that we have proven to cause cancer in a regular cigarette are also present in this e-liquid, this e-juice that you're using in these products, does it not seem possible, if not even probable, that these things will also be proven to cause cancer? So don't interpret it to mean they're safe and they don't cause cancer. Know that the research has not been done yet to prove it. Let's now talk about diacetyl. Diacetyl is a chemical that we know is present in 75% of the flavorings. We know that diacetyl exposure causes a disease called bronchiolitis obliterans. What bronchiolitis obliterans is it causes a scarring in your airways. You notice there on the screen, it says it causes a permanent scarring of your airways. And what does permanent mean? Permanent means forever. Permanent means it doesn't go away. Permanent means you cannot go to the doctor and take some medicine or have some surgery to fix it. Permanent means you will live with this for the rest of your life if it happens to you. We know that diacetyl is in, again, like I said, 75% of the flavorings. Sometimes I get young people when I'm in a classroom standing in front of you all, I get young people raise their hand and they say, well, I vape, or my friend vapes, or my sister or brother vapes, but they don't use nicotine. They're doing it just for the flavorings. I want you to know that we don't know that inhaling these flavorings is safe. The flavorings are FDA approved. That information is out there, and that's actually a true statement. And when something has FDA approval, it does show that studies have been done to show safety. But what I want you all to know is the flavorings have been studied for what happens when people put them into their stomach, not when people inhale them into their lungs. We have no idea what's going to happen to human bodies when they inhale these flavorings over time. And I want you to really think about what happens in your lungs. Does smoking cause only lung cancer? I think you all probably know the answer to that is no. How come smoking causes 13 types of cancer and not just lung cancer? Well, I want you to really think about how your body works. When you inhale the aerosol from vaping devices into your lungs, it doesn't just stay in your lungs. It's absorbed into your bloodstream and it travels all over your body. And the same can be said of these flavorings. So these flavorings that have been studied what happens when they enter your stomach are now being inhaled into your lungs, entering your bloodstream, and traveling all over your body. And your stomach has the ability to break these things down. Your lungs don't have that same ability. Let's talk for a minute about ultrafine particles. Ultrafine particles are tiny pieces of dust, dirt, and debris that are mixed with the vapor that you're inhaling. These particles damage your body. These particles can cause your lungs to scar, like we talked about on that previous slide. These particles can cause harm to your heart and to your nervous system. These particles have been linked to cancers as well. So inhaling ultrafine particles, we know, is detrimental to human health. There are heavy metals that are also present in these vaping devices that you're choosing to use. These metals, some of them which are listed there on the right side of your screen, the lead, chromium, magnesium, and nickel, cause, again, negative health effects. Many of these metals that are found in e-cigarettes actually come from internal fragments from the coil itself and not from the e-liquid. And again, we know that these heavy metals have been linked to negative health effects that you can see listed on your screen there. Things like lung, liver, immune, heart, and brain damage, and even cancers there as well. These devices have been known to explode. We have not had any specifically for the Juul device, but there have been other brands that have exploded. And the explosions can cause severe damage and even death to the user. Here's a gentleman I want to introduce you to. His name is Andrew Hall. Andrew is from Idaho, and he was using a vaping device in his bathroom, and it exploded while it was in his mouth. And you can see there when it exploded, the shrapnel and the metals flew everywhere. You can see that it broke the counter in his sink. And it, again, remember what I just said, it exploded while it's in his mouth. If you are bothered by somewhat graphic picture of injuries, you might want to close your eyes, because I'm going to flip to what happened to his face. And you can see that he suffered some injuries to his face as well when this thing exploded. First, second, and third degree burns, missing, knocked some of his teeth out. He obviously has got some big medical bills to take care of these injuries. And I want you to ask yourself, is this risk worth it? You are choosing to take on these risks when you choose to use these products. There's if they're not in your mouth when these things explode, watch the lady's purse here that catches on fire. Her e-cigarette exploded while it was in her purse. And this next slide here I'm going to show you is a video. And I'm just going to be quiet and let you watch this one.
In a California electronics store, 1 minute a customer is in a back room picking out a TV. The next, his pocket explodes into sparks and flames.
He is screaming and yelling. All of his right leg was completely burnt.
It's the latest e-cigarette to explode in a long list of similar cases across the country. Experts saying most are caused by lithium-ion batteries, often used in modified vape devices made overseas. A study showing 62% of explosions happen while the e-cigarette is in someone's pocket or actively being used. Earlier this year, the first documented case of an e-cigarette killing someone. A 38-year-old man died after his vape pen exploded. His cause of death listed as a projectile wound to the head. Now, another e-cigarette explosion caught on camera, showing the potential for danger carried by millions every day. Gotti Schwartz, NBC News, Los Angeles.
So again, I want you to be educated if you're choosing to use these products. I want you to understand that is a real risk that you're taking on. Now let's talk a minute about nicotine. I bet all of you in this room or wherever you are listening to me, I bet all of you know that nicotine is highly addictive. I bet you knew that when you were in elementary school. That's something that's been proven, and we know it, and it's not up for debate or discussion. One thing, though, is oftentimes when we ask young people, why are you using nicotine? Why are you vaping? They say that it helps them study. They say that it helps them concentrate. I want you to know that this is actually not true. Studies show, in fact, that what nicotine does is it actually decreases your ability to concentrate, delays learning, and causes you to have poor impulse control. I also want you to think about addiction. And I think probably most of you know that addiction occurs in your brain. And nicotine can actually rewire your brain to become more addicted to other things more easily. You're about 25 years old before your brain is fully finished developing. And so when you choose to use an addictive substance while your brain is still growing and developing, you are going to become addicted more easily than somebody who is older. And that's not to say that somebody older is not going to become addicted. They are. Everybody will become addicted to nicotine if they use it for a long enough period of time. But know that your brain, because it is still growing and developing, is going to become addicted more easily. It changes the pathways that are being built in your brain as your brain is growing and developing. And what I want you to understand about the addiction is once you become addicted to nicotine, you're not using it to help you feel whatever it is you were feeling from the nicotine. You're now using the nicotine so that you just feel normal. And this is what leads people to becoming lifelong smokers. They want to quit, they try to quit, but because the withdrawal symptoms are so severe, it's easier to just give in and continue using than to have to deal with those withdrawal symptoms. They don't feel good, they don't feel normal, so they continue using the product rather than quitting. And many of you may know somebody in here who is a smoker, and you may know people that have said, I wish I could quit. It is extremely difficult to quit smoking once you have become addicted to the nicotine. And of course, the easiest way not to have to worry about becoming addicted is to not ever try these products. Let's talk about saliva for a minute and the other things that you could be sharing if you choose to share these products. We know that people share these products. They pass them around. You're sharing your saliva if you share these products, which means you're sharing bacteria and viruses. that cause things like fever, blisters, cold sores, strep throat, mono. And I might also throw in right here as well that the coronavirus, the COVID-19 that's going around in the world right now, the reason you all are sitting at home watching this on a screen instead of sitting in a classroom is because of COVID-19. And it is a respiratory disease. It is a respiratory spread disease. So if you're sharing something like this, the potential for sharing that disease is real. Now let's talk specifically about the money. Average amount of money spent to buy and get started into vaping is about $80. And then if somebody's using refillable types of liquids, they're spending about $415 every 6 months. And if they're using some type of a pod-based system, they're spending about double that. And which correlates to over a year's time, you're spending about $800 or about $1,700 in a year's period of time. And like I said at the beginning, you're going to have to give up something else. Most of us in life don't get to buy everything that we want. So if we're choosing to spend $2,000 on vaping, we're going to have to choose not to spend $2,000 on something else. So what is that going to be for you? And I want to take a minute right here to talk about the flavorings and the other things that these companies do to draw young people in. They do things like making them look like products that you're familiar with, things that you know are safe. This is a subliminal association that causes people to gravitate towards. We don't want you to be taken into these marketing tactics. We want you to know that when they manufacture and produce their products and package them in such a way that they look like things that are safe and that you are familiar with, you are more likely to try them. And then again, advertising, using somebody that's a young, fit-looking model, somebody that looks like you, somebody that you can relate to, and they're using the product so it makes you want to use their products as well. These techniques do work. These companies, spend millions and millions of dollars a year advertising their products, and they wouldn't spend this money if advertising didn't work. And I want to end today by talking a little bit about some changes that have happened very recently. The pod-based systems that are refillable, like a Juul, like Soren, where you refill those, there have been laws passed where these things can no longer be flavored. So you may have heard that, you can no longer buy Juul and all these good tasting flavors. You can only buy tobacco flavors and menthol flavors now. But there are companies again out there that have found a way around this law. Those companies like Puff Bar and Blue, where their devices are not refillable. You use them for a period of time and you throw them away and buy another one. They have found a way around the law by making them not refillable and being disposable. I want you to know that it does not matter what the product looks like on the outside, whether it's disposable, whether it's refillable. You're choosing to take these risks with your body if you're choosing to use these products. I want you all to choose to say no to using these products. And some of you may be sitting out there thinking, I don't know what I'm talking about. And oftentimes you will think, I don't know what I'm talking about because you're already using these products. And if I don't know what I'm talking about, that means it's an okay choice that you maybe have made. And if you're using these products already, I want to ask you to ask yourself something, and I want you to be honest with yourself. Are you using that thought, like she doesn't know what she's talking about? Are you using that thought so that you don't have to admit to yourself that maybe the decision I have made is a bad one? And maybe you're telling yourself that, yes, I use these products, but I'm not addicted to them. If you believe that, try going for a couple of weeks without using the products and you'll find the answer to that question. But I want you to choose to say no to these products. If you've never tried them, continue saying no. If you've tried them once, just don't ever try them again. And if you're currently using these products, please try to stop. These products are addictive, and the longer you use them, the harder it is going to be for you to stop using these products. So reach out to somebody that can help you stop using these products. Reach out to your parents if you can do that. If you can't reach out to your parents, reach out to someone at school that can help you. And the state of Arkansas has a program called Be Well Arkansas. And Be Well Arkansas is a program that you can call in and get counseling help for stopping of using tobacco products. I want you to reach out. You can Google that, Be Well Arkansas, to get to the website associated with it so that you can get the help that you need. And reach out, call the phone number associated with Be Well Arkansas and ask for help in stopping using these products. We also want you to report violations. You see the phone number on your screen there, the 1-800-ID-TEENS. If you know of a retailer that's selling things to young people that are underage, report them. And then the last thing that you can do is get involved at school in preventing vaping and use of tobacco products in school. You can have groups of students that get together and get involved, have clubs where you promote not vaping or not smoking. I thank you all for your time today. I hope you learned something, and I hope you make the decision today to not ever use these products or to quit if you are using these products. Thank you.